about things that have been useful for people that you've talked to and run into, or things that you've been able to do to open doors for working capital for small businesses. Would you? And I'd like for all of you to just you approach this from different angles. I'd like to hear from each of you briefly, if you can give us some guidance there. Martin, could you start?
Sure, I'll be glad to. I'm just sitting here observing. Larry's the only one up here that's got all the money.
He's got some,
He's got
but
some.
You won't let him give any to us.
I went up there last year for a groundbreaking for some housing units they were building up there, and they had a crane. I hadn't seen a crane in years. I mean, I hadn't been to Chapel Hill to visit. They usually had some over there, but there just weren't any. And they were building out there, so and they were producing jobs and everything else that's good about the region. Money is the problem, and we're not going to get this economy moving again until we get some money on the street. It's just that simple. I have worked ever since this recession started on trying to figure out how to do that. And we have state chartered banks, we have federally chartered banks. The big banks all got in trouble. They drew up. We started a program. We have small business centers at all of our community colleges. So we started a program where we were going to get them to work through and certify that you're ready to go, and we would guarantee you we would get you to a bank that was making a loan. Well, we just barely got that thing off and going, and lo and behold, they didn't have any money. The regulators came in, shut them down. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't think it's in the hands of the state to fix it. Our local banks, our state chartered banks, they're going to be fine, but they have federal regulators, the FDIC, prohibiting them from making commercial loans. That's bottom line. And now they've sat there. Everybody's had to sit there for 2 or 3 years watching the collateral go to pieces, to where now they've got problem loans. And where we did TARP for the big banks, there was a similar federal program, but it wasn't enacted till 1.5 years later.
Martin, any hope?
It's too late then.
Any hope?
They're going to have to break this loose at the federal level. I saw some statistics the other night. I don't know this to be true or not. It makes a little sense to me. The construction industry is 1/3 of our economy when it's humming, and that would include all the spin-offs you get, the appliances, the furniture, the carpet, everything else. And when you bring that to a halt, you're going to damage your economy, and there's really no place to put those people until you put them back to work. The housing industry, for the life of me, I don't understand why somebody doesn't take their loss and go on. Right now, I saw the other day where one of the pundits was on there saying that they just dropped the interest rate on housing loans, and the other guy sitting there, and he said, well, the 6 that can qualify for one will be happy to hear that. And that's about where we are out here, and until it's not a state government function, I'm promising you we've got everything in place to help small business, to assist them, to get their business plans ready. But if no bank is going to make small business loans right now, my son's a banker. He shared with me the other day, he had one that he had ready and his bank had approved and the SBA wouldn't approve it. Needed an SBA guarantee. That's unheard of. If a bank's willing to take the risk, SBA is almost automatic. Now they won't do anything. And I think it's going to take leadership at the top. It's the one thing that I am disappointed in our president, that he's not moved this thing off dead center to start with, and we got to get it going again. You can't run this country when you can't make loans for people to buy things and people to run their businesses with.
Larry, your perspective, Martin's told us that the state government can't help. You can come in and say the Cherokee Eastern Band can't help either, but couldn't you all start a bank and put something in there?
Well, whatever bank we started would still be under certain regulations. I know that I mean, I think he's right on point with the banking industry. I mean, everybody's hunkered down, and that's, capital dries up, and it makes it tough, and we'll talk specifically a little about Cherokee and what we've been able to do and maybe get ahead of the curve. But in 2002, we started a CDFI that we named the Sequoia Fund, and that was started with, I believe, grants from the United States Treasury, maybe some from the Department of Agriculture. It goes back a ways. And part of the funding we were able to put into the CDFI for loans to small businesses came directly from gaming revenue that Governor Hunt required us to put into the Preservation Foundation. Now, the Preservation Foundation, one of its missions out of 3 or 4 is to, do economic development. And so the Preservation Foundation saw the CDFI as a good way to expand our economy in Cherokee. So from that point on, I think now it's capitalized at about $13 million. Their goal is to get up around $20 million. And again, that's loans out to small businesses. Initially, it was just on the reservation. And I think in the past few months or so, they've gone to another designation called the New Economy Fund. Now, that allows them to go off reservation for technology-based innovative businesses that would want to come and
you got money?
And I think it'll go up to $250,000. I think initially is that. So
well, that's good news.
So there's opportunity there that
you're going to be surrounded after this is over.
Well, that's great, and
a lot of new friends out here.
A lot of new friends. That's great, but and I think it comes back again to the tribe and position ourselves and the revenues we have from the casino. And I appreciate the comments from the senator. We have been good stewards of the money, and we've tried to look at those opportunities that not only will help the Cherokee people, but I think will help the region. And here, again, is a new example of how there may be some capital available. And I don't know if there's other funds to be leveraged with that or not, but we have a full staff and a full crew, and I can sure give you the contact information to whoever would want it after the meeting.
Well, that's good news. Dr. Bardo, have you got some good news for us?
Well, I don't know if I have good news. I heard a speech not long ago that I love the line. Old guy I knew for years got up and he says, with age comes wisdom, but sometimes age comes alone. And he said, this may be one of those times where age is coming alone. But I think there are some things that can be done at the state level still in the tax code. You don't have to go through a bank to get venture capital. There are private venture capital operations that certainly can make things happen. I'm also, from looking at the data, I'm not all that excited about just simply lowering marginal tax rates. The data don't really suggest that does a whole lot for the economy. But there are ways you can lower marginal tax rates that will do a whole lot for the economy. And one is, for example, to give people a deduction for venture capital that is spent in North Carolina. Second is to give them a deduction for employment increases. And a third is to give them a deduction for investing in technology that improves their competitiveness and keeps them in business. So there are ways in which you can affect marginal tax rates that really address the core question you're trying to address of improving the economy and putting people back to work. And that, I think, is very much out there, and it is in the state's control. We don't have to wait for the federal government to do that. At the same time, if any of you Google Richard Florida and look at his new article on taxes that appeared in the Atlantic, there simply isn't a relationship between business innovation and marginal tax rates within the states. There is for relocating big business, but that isn't where you're going to get most of your jobs. Your jobs are going to come from that business innovation, and there are ways of fixing the marginal tax rate to make that work.
Well, Senator Abbott, I put you last just so you'd be on the spot.
No, that's good.
But going back to the original question about, and then I'd love for you to comment on Dr. Bardo's points, but have you seen any openings in terms of availability of money for small businesses and other good projects?
I want to dig down a little deeper because I come at it from a business perspective. I talked to the banks. Some of my bankers are here, so I want to be very careful. I probably owe more money than anybody up here, so I don't want my loans called tomorrow. But they're telling me that demand is down. They're not really getting asked for the money right now. And I think we need to look further down, and I think the business folk in here will agree. We have two problems right now, and they're really together. They're one problem. We have the Consumer Confidence Index, which is probably as low as it's ever been. Consumers are not motivated. They're scared about the future to spend money. All right, take it up to what I call the Business Confidence Index, which is probably as low as it's ever been also because of the uncertainty out there. And, you know, to a business person, and this is an honest story. I'm going to try to change the names to protect the innocent, okay? There was a person that lives near me in Hendersonville. This person owns a large chain of clothing stores. And he was wandering around the parking lot one day when I pulled in, and I said, "What's going on, Bob?" He says, "I'm distraught." I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "I have been on the phone with my headquarters on a nationwide telephone call trying to plan what lies ahead in 2014 in providing insurance to my employees." He says, "I'm to the point where we're trying to decide, do I not provide insurance, pay the penalties, or do I close 3 stores in order to pay insurance and move forward? And we're just not certain where it's going to come down. And until I understand where that comes down, I'm not going to expand. I'm not going to hire additional employees." And I hear this almost to a person in the business world. And I think we've got to solve the uncertainty. And I think once we, get a little more feeling. I'm in the travel business. Prime example. Up 2 years ago, nobody would book a trip more than 2 weeks in advance. And since that time, we have gradually seen folks that would go a month out. And now we see folks that'll book one for the spring. And it's expanding, getting back to the way it used to be. I honestly feel like we've been at the bottom. I don't think we're very high off the bottom, but I do feel like we're moving in the right direction. And if we can get confidence, a lot of this will take care of itself. But I do agree that, and the restraints the banks are under now is just unbelievable. And I experienced it personally with having to provide things I never had to provide in 30 years. Copies of my value of my life insurance and things of that nature. And it was nice for me. It made me do an inventory, which I should have done. But those things being said, I don't know if it's not there's no money available. I don't think there are any ideas out there that warrant, or someone wants to put themselves on the line, bank or business person, to expand. And I think till we accomplish that, we're going to kind of swim around here.
Well, y'all, there are so many things that we've opened the doors to talk about and haven't finished, but we are virtually out of time. But can I ask each of you just to sum up things that we might not have covered, or the last point that you'd like to make in about a minute and a half, and start? Martin, I don't know whether I've ever heard you summarize in a minute and a half, but
You never have.
can you do
possible.
it? Can you try?
I'll try. For the western part of the state, we live in the best place in the world to live. Actually, in this recession, for most of us, we're better off than most people are. Our unemployment rate in the Asheville and Henderson County, in these corridors around here that we were talking about, it's been in the 8% range when the state is now 10.5%. We live and thrive off of small business. So we're not subject to the ebb and flow that big business will have sometimes. And our future's great. What could be wrong with that? When you live in the best place there is to live, the economy here is still functioning. Our unemployment's lower. We have great educational facilities where we can better educate our people to be ready to take advantage of it. And I think we just keep our eye on the prize and be ready when this thing comes back to take advantage of it and move to another level.
You did it.
He did it.
Thank you.
It's great.
And thank you for the, Martin, thanks for your contribution. This is terrific. Larry? I'm sorry, Vice Chief. I've gotten too familiar.
Just call me Larry. That's fine. I guess what I want to leave you with is just a couple of things. The tribe, the Eastern Band of Cherokees, is very proud of who we are as a people, and we're very proud to be a partner in this region. We're very proud that we have that opportunity. We're just so grateful for the blessings that we've been given as a tribe. We are stuck in some tough negotiations to expand opportunity, to expand employment, to expand needed jobs, benefits, those things that take people off the tax rolls, off the welfare rolls, all those things that we, the Eastern Band, can provide. And if anyone in here has Beverly Perdue's number and can see the picture I think that we all see, give her a call. We are part of the federal law says we have to negotiate with the state for what we're allowed to do. And we've done that. We've done that in good faith. And so we're asking her, the governor, to help us and help this region and be, again, a good partner with us as we are, I think, with the state of North Carolina and with the surrounding counties.
Larry, thank you very much for
Yes.
all your contributions.
Thank you, sir.
Chancellor Bardo?
Yeah, I would just start off by saying one of the, coming into this area as an outsider and getting to live in a rural part of this region with the people, you get a sense of the quality of human beings that inhabit this mountain. These are good people who are willing to do a good day's work for a decent wage, and sometimes not even all that decent a wage, but they're willing to do what's right. I believe that the future of these mountains are brighter than they've ever been because of the restructuring of the economy. That as it begins to come back with any assistance at all, and I'm not talking about a hand out, I'm talking about a hand up. With any assistance at all, this region can become one of the most prosperous and positive places. It already has a great group of people. It's got a great environment. It's got really good core values. And I think it has a tremendous amount to build off of. And I'm excited to look and see what the future will be.
Thank you, sir. Senator Apodaca.
I wish I'd had time to dig down a little deeper with some of John's comments because I always enjoy that. And I enjoy everyone on this panel. I think it's a wonderful group of people. Martin and I have a good time arguing with each other. But when the day's over, we enjoy each other's company, I think. But two things, speaking for me, not Martin. I've learned not to. But two things I wish John had more time to go in depth with, and I think we need to look at from a business standpoint, Western North Carolina, is tourism. I mean, that is our bread and butter right now, and I think it's going to be our bread and butter, going into the future, along with the wonderful things happening at the reservation. Martin and I are working on two things right now that tie into tourism and jobs, a wonderful combination for this area, so we hope we hear more about that. But I do agree with John. I honestly, with all my heart, believe our best days are ahead of us in Western North Carolina. And I think we're at the beginning of that. So that's what I'd like to leave with tonight.
Well, I think that's a great place to end. And I think Scott's probably ready to take over and close this out. But before he does, I just want to thank all of you all for your wisdom and for your succinct and very wise comments. It's been a pleasure to serve with you.
Thank you. Thank you.